Close your eyes, if you wish, and let the world around you fade. Imagine yourself stepping into a distant time, a place where the air hums with anticipation, where the rhythm of a city's heartbeat echoes through stone streets. You are in ancient Rome, in the shadow of the great Colosseum, a monument to human ambition and spectacle. Tonight, we'll wander through this world together, not as modern observers, but as spectators of the Flavian Amphitheatre, as it was known in its prime. Feel the weight of the moment settle gently around you, the dust on your sandals, the murmur of a restless crowd, the faint scent of olive oil and sun-warmed stone. This is not a tale of gladiators or emperors alone, but of you, the spectator, one among thousands, drawn to the heart of Rome's grandest stage. This journey will unfold in 4 parts, each a window into the world of the Colosseum and the lives it touched. First, we'll immerse ourselves in the daily life of a spectator. Your journey to the games, your place in the crowd, the sights and sounds that filled your senses. Then, we'll follow the life of a notable figure tied to the Colosseum, exploring their ambitions and their world. Next, we'll unravel a mystery, diving into the archaeological and cultural secrets of this ancient arena. Finally, we'll contrast the lives of the elite with those of the common folk, seeing how the Colosseum shaped both. Let the story begin, and as you listen, let your mind drift, carried by the steady rhythm of history. Picture yourself in Rome, in the year 80 CE, under the reign of Emperor Titus. The Colosseum, newly completed, stands as a marvel of engineering, its towering arches casting long shadows over the bustling city. You are a Roman citizen, perhaps a baker, a scribe, or a merchant's apprentice, living in a modest insula, one of the crowded apartment blocks that line Rome's winding streets. Your day begins early, as the first light filters through a narrow window, carrying the distant crow of a rooster and the clatter of carts on cobblestones. Your morning is a flurry of preparation. You rise from a simple straw mattress, splash cold water from a clay basin onto your face, and slip into a tunic, its course will slightly scratchy against your skin. Breakfast is quick, a piece of flatbread drizzled with olive oil, perhaps a handful of olives or a sliver of cheese. The games are free, a gift from the emperor to the people, but you know the best seats vanish quickly. You sling a small cloth sack over your shoulder, filled with a few bronze coins, a crust of bread, and a flask of watered wine. The streets are already alive as you step outside, thick with the scent of baking bread, the tang of unwashed bodies, and the faint, acrid whiff of the Tiber River. The journey to the Colosseum is a pilgrimage of sorts. You weave through the Subura, Rome's bustling working-class district, where vendors hawk figs and roasted chickpeas, and children dart underfoot. The air hums with voices, Latin, Greek, the occasional guttural syllable of a foreign tongue. As you near the forum, the crowd thickens, a river of humanity flowing toward the amphitheater. You pass temples with their marble gleaming in the morning sun, and the shouts of merchants fade as the Colosseum's massive silhouette looms ahead. Its scale is staggering, 4 stories of travertine stone, adorned with statues in every arch, their marble faces gazing impassively over the crowd. You clutch your tessera, a small wooden token that grants you entry, distributed by the emperor's officials to ensure the games are accessible to all. The token is smooth in your hand, etched with a section number. As a plebeian, your seat is high in the upper tiers, but the thrill of the day outweighs any resentment. You approach one of the Colosseum's 80 entrances, each marked with a number carved into the stone. The crowd presses close, a sea of tunics and cloaks, some threadbare, others finely woven. A vendor thrusts a skewer of grilled meat toward you, its smoky aroma tempting, but you press on, eager to claim your place. Inside, the Colosseum is a world unto itself. You climb steep, shadowed stairways, the air cooler now, tinged with the damp scent of stone. The roar of the crowd grows as you emerge into the open seating area. The arena stretches below, a vast oval of sand, its surface raked smooth for the day's events. Around you, the stands are a mosaic of faces. Artisans, shopkeepers, freedmen, and even a few women, their veils fluttering in the breeze. The wealthier sit closer to the arena floor, in shaded seats of honor, but from your perch, the view is still commanding. The Colosseum holds up to 50,000 souls, and today, it feels as though every one of them is here, their voices blending into a low, constant hum, like the sea against a shore. You settle onto the hard stone bench, warmed by the sun, and unpack your small meal. Around you, others do the same, some munch on nuts or dried fruit, others sip from clay flasks. A vendor climbs the steps, balancing a tray of honeyed cakes, calling out his wares in a rhythmic chant. The air carries a mix of scents, sweat, wine, the faint tang of animal pens below the arena. You notice the vela, massive canvas awning stretched overhead by sailors from the Imperial Navy, offering patches of shade that shift with the breeze. The engineering is as much a spectacle as the games themselves, a reminder of Rome's ingenuity. As the morning progresses, the crowd's anticipation builds. A trumpet blares, signaling the start of the day's events. The opening act is not the gladiators, that comes later, but a display of exotic animals. You lean forward as a gate creaks open, and a pair of ostriches struts onto the sand, their feathers glinting in the sunlight. The crowd laughs and cheers as a venator, an animal hunter, chases them with a spear, more for show than slaughter. The spectacle is mesmerizing, a glimpse of lands far beyond Rome's borders. Next come bears, chained and prodded to roar for the crowd's amusement. You marvel at their size, their matted fur, the way their growls echo off the stone walls. The rhythm of the day is unhurried yet relentless. Between events, you chat with those around you. A neighbor complains about the price of grain, a stranger boasts of seeing the emperor himself at last week's games. The crowd's energy ebbs and flows, a living thing, but never chaotic. You feel part of something larger, a shared pulse that binds Rome's people to their city and their emperor. Yet, there's an undercurrent of tension. The games are free, but they are also a reminder of power, of the emperor's generosity, yes, but also his control. You've heard whispers of those who spoke against the state and vanished, their fates unspoken but understood. As noon approaches, the sun climbs higher, and the air grows warmer. The crowd thins briefly as some slip away to buy food or relieve themselves in the latrines below. You stay, savoring the moment, watching as workers rake the sand smooth again, erasing the traces of the morning's spectacles. The games will continue, each act more elaborate than the last, but for now, you sit, surrounded by the murmur of voices, the rustle of cloaks, the distant clang of metal from the arena's underbelly. This is your place, your moment, as a spectator in the Colosseum, where the ordinary and the extraordinary collide. As the sun arcs higher over the Colosseum, casting shifting shadows across the sand below, let your mind drift from the spectator's bench to the man whose vision brought this monument into being. Imagine yourself in the presence of Vespasian, the emperor who laid the first stones of the Flavian Amphitheatre, as the Colosseum was originally named. His story is not one of divine grandeur or mythic heroism, but of a practical man, hardened by war and politics, who sought to restore a fractured Rome. His life, woven into the very fabric of this arena, offers a glimpse into the ambitions and struggles that shaped the games you now witness. Vespasian was born in 9 CE, far from the marble halls of Rome, in a modest villa in the Sabine Hills. Picture a rural landscape, where olive trees sway under a pale sky, and the air carries the scent of dry earth and wild herbs. His family was not of the ancient patrician elite but of equestrian stock, respectable, yet unremarkable. Young Titus Flavius Vespasianus, as he was then called, grew up among farmers and merchants, his early years marked by the rhythm of harvests and the clink of bronze coins. He was no stranger to hard work, his hands calloused from labor, his mind sharpened by necessity. Yet, ambition burned quietly within him, a steady flame that would carry him far beyond the hills of his youth. As a young man, Vespasian entered Rome's political arena, a world as treacherous as any gladiatorial bout. Picture him navigating the Senate's marble corridors, his tunic plain compared to the embroidered togas of his rivals. He was not a man of charisma or oratory flourish, his speech was blunt, his humor dry. Yet, he was shrewd, earning respect through competence rather than charm. He served as a military tribune in Thrace, where the cold winds bit at his skin, and later commanded legions in Britain, leading men through fog-choked forests to subdue rebellious tribes. Each campaign honed his pragmatism, his ability to see the world not as it was dreamed, but as it was, a skill that would define his reign. By 69 CE, Rome was a city unraveling. The year of the four emperors had left the empire in chaos, with civil war tearing at its seams. Picture the streets you walked earlier, now filled with the clatter of swords and the cries of the desperate. Vespasian, then a general stationed in Judea, was proclaimed emperor by his legions, not out of divine right, but through the loyalty of soldiers who trusted his steady hand. He marched on Rome, not with the fanfare of a conqueror, but with the resolve of a man determined to mend a broken state. His victory was not celebrated with rivers of blood, but with order restored, lives spared where possible, and a city ready to heal. Upon taking the throne, Vespasian faced a Rome scarred by excess. Nero's reign had drained the treasury, and the Great Fire of 64 CE had left swaths of the city in ruin. The Golden House, Nero's ostentatious palace, sprawled over the heart of Rome, a symbol of decadence that mocked the common people. Vespasian, ever practical, saw opportunity in the ashes. He ordered the Golden House's land reclaimed for the public, and in its place, he envisioned a grand amphitheatre, a gift to the people, a stage for unity. Imagine the first stones being laid in 70 CE, the creak of wooden cranes, the shouts of laborers as they hauled travertine from distant quarries. The Colosseum was not just a building, it was a statement. Vespasian sought to bind Rome's people, plebeian and patrician, citizen and freedman, through shared spectacle. The construction was a marvel of logistics. Thousands of workers toiled under the sun, their sweat mingling with the dust of the site. Engineers, many drawn from the empire's provinces, devised arches and vaults that made the structure both vast and enduring. Vespasian himself visited the site, not as a distant ruler but as a man who understood the value of labor. Picture him standing amidst the chaos, his graying hair dusted with grit, nodding approvingly as a foreman explained the pulley systems. He knew the Colosseum would outlast him, a legacy not for his own glory, but for Rome's. Yet, Vespasian's life was not without shadows. The games you now watch, with their roars of beasts and clashes of steel, were born from his vision, but also from Rome's darker impulses. He understood the people's hunger for distraction, their need to forget the hunger in their bellies or the weight of taxes. The Colosseum's spectacles were carefully orchestrated. Animal hunts in the morning, executions at midday, gladiatorial combats in the afternoon. These were not mere entertainments but tools of control, a way to channel the city's restless energy. Vespasian, a soldier at heart, knew the cost of such displays. Men and animals fell, their lives spent to sate the crowd's appetite. He did not revel in this, but accepted it as the price of stability, a grim necessity in a world where rebellion simmered just beneath the surface. His health began to falter as the Colosseum neared completion. By 79 CE, Vespasian was ailing, his body worn by years of campaigns and governance. Picture him in his modest palace, far less grand than Nero's, lying on a simple couch, his breath shallow. He famously quipped, "An emperor should die standing," and rose one last time before succumbing. He never saw the Colosseum's opening under his son Titus in 80 CE, but his mark was indelible. The arena you sit in now, its stones warm beneath you, its arches soaring above, is his creation, a testament to a man who built not for himself, but for an empire he hoped would endure. As the crowd around you stirs, awaiting the next spectacle, consider Vespasian's life. He was not a god-king, nor a poet, but a man who understood the rhythm of power, the balance of generosity and control, of spectacle and sacrifice. His Colosseum, now alive with the cheers of thousands, was his gift and his burden, a stage where Rome's heart beat loudest. As the afternoon sun casts long shadows across the Colosseum's sandy arena, let your mind drift from the spectacle above to the unseen world below. Imagine yourself descending from your seat, leaving the roar of the crowd behind, and stepping into the shadowed corridors beneath the arena floor. This is the hypogeum, the hidden heart of the Colosseum, a labyrinth of tunnels, chambers, and machinery that powered the games you've witnessed. Its secrets, uncovered by archaeologists and whispered through history, reveal a culture both ingenious and complex, a blend of engineering, ritual, and raw power. Let's explore this subterranean realm, not with urgency, but with a quiet curiosity, as if wandering through a dream. Picture the hypogeum as a warren of narrow passages, their walls damp with the scent of earth and stone. The air here is cooler, heavy with the musk of straw and the faint metallic tang of machinery. In 80 CE, when you sat as a spectator, this underground network was alive with activity. Slaves and workers, their tunics stained with sweat, moved in the dim light of oil lamps, their footsteps muffled by the packed dirt floor. Cages lined the walls, holding beasts from the edges of the empire, lions from Africa, bears from Germania, leopards from Asia. Their low growls echoed through the tunnels, a constant reminder of the wildness contained within these walls. You can almost hear the creak of wooden ramps, the clank of chains, as workers prepared to send animals or gladiators soaring into the arena above. The hypogeum was a marvel of Roman engineering, a testament to the culture that built it. Archaeologists, sifting through the Colosseum's ruins centuries later, uncovered a network of 36 trapdoors, each connected to a system of pulleys and winches. Imagine the precision required to raise a snarling tiger onto the arena floor, its sudden appearance drawing gasps from the crowd. These mechanisms were operated by skilled laborers, many of them slaves, who worked in near darkness, their hands calloused from ropes and levers. The trapdoors, hidden beneath the sand, allowed for dramatic entrances, gladiators rising as if from the underworld, or scenery appearing to transform the arena into a forest or battlefield. This was not mere spectacle but a cultural statement. Rome could bend nature and man to its will, staging the impossible for the delight of its people. Yet, the hypogeum holds mysteries that even modern scholars struggle to unravel. Picture the archaeologists of the 19th and 20th centuries, their lanterns casting flickering light on crumbling walls, piecing together the Colosseum's secrets. They found evidence of a complex drainage system, channels carved into the stone to manage water for mock naval battles, or naumachii, staged in the arena's early years. Imagine the arena flooded, small ships bobbing on artificial waves, their oars splashing in rhythm. How did the Romans waterproof the hypogeum? How did they drain it so swiftly? These questions linger, the answers buried in time. Some suggest an aqueduct supplied the water, others point to nearby springs, but the exact methods remain a quiet enigma, like a half-remembered story. The culture of the Colosseum extended beyond engineering to the rituals that surrounded it. The games were not just entertainment but a reflection of Rome's values, strength, order, and divine favor. Before the spectacles began, priests performed sacrifices, their chants rising above the crowd, the scent of incense mingling with the dust. The animals slain in the arena were often offerings to the gods, their deaths a bridge between the mortal and divine. You, as a spectator, might have felt the weight of these rituals, sensing that the games were more than sport, they were a communion with Rome's past, its gods, and its empire. Even the gladiators, many of whom faced death, were part of this cultural tapestry, their courage celebrated as a mirror of Roman virtus, or manly virtue. But the hypogeum also whispers of darker truths. The workers who toiled here were often invisible to the crowd above, their lives spent in service to the spectacle. Many were slaves, captured from distant provinces, their languages and stories lost to the clamor of the games. Picture a young man from Dacia, his hands scarred from hauling ropes, or a woman from Egypt, feeding the caged beasts, her life tied to the Colosseum's endless cycle. Their labor made the games possible, yet their names were never cheered. Archaeologists have found graffiti in the hypogeum, scratched names, crude drawings of gladiators, a faint trace of those who lived and died in the shadows. These marks are a quiet testament to their existence, a reminder that even in Rome's grandeur, there was a cost. The hypogeum's mysteries extend to its later years. After the Colosseum's peak, as the empire waned, the underground chambers were abandoned, filled with debris and forgotten. Picture the silence that settled here, the dust piling high, the trapdoors sealed under centuries of earth. When archaeologists rediscovered the hypogeum in the 1800s, they found bones, of animals, perhaps of men, mingled with broken pottery and rusted iron. Were these the remains of the games, or of something else? Some speculate the hypogeum was used for storage or even secret meetings as Rome's power faded, but the truth remains elusive, like a shadow moving just beyond sight. As you imagine yourself in this hidden world, consider the culture it reflected, a society that celebrated spectacle yet relied on the unseen. The hypogeum was the Colosseum's heart, pumping life into the arena above, yet it was also a place of toil and sacrifice. Its tunnels, now silent, once thrummed with the rhythm of Rome's ambitions, its engineering a mirror of the empire's reach, its shadows a reminder of those who paid the price. As the crowd above roars for the next event, you linger here, in the cool darkness, where the echoes of history are soft but unyielding. As the sun begins its slow descent, casting a golden hue across the Colosseum's crowded tiers, let your mind settle back into the stands, where the rhythm of the games continues. The air is warm now, thick with the mingled scents of sweat, wine, and the faint, earthy tang of the arena's sand. Around you, the crowd pulses with life, plebeians in coarse tunics, their voices rough with excitement, and, closer to the arena floor, the elite in their shaded seats, their togas gleaming white. The Colosseum was more than a stage for spectacle, it was a mirror of Rome's social order, where the lives of the common folk and the elite played out in stark contrast, yet were bound by the shared ritual of the games. Imagine yourself here, a spectator among thousands, and let's explore this divide, the lives it shaped, and the arena that united them. Picture yourself as a plebeian, perhaps a baker or a weaver, perched high in the upper tiers. Your seat, a hard stone bench, is far from the action, but the view is sweeping, the entire oval of the arena laid out below like a living tapestry. Your day began at dawn, kneading dough or threading a loom, your hands worn from labor. The games are a rare escape, a chance to step away from the grind of Rome's crowded streets. Your tunic is simple, patched in places, and your meal is modest, a crust of bread, a handful of olives, a sip of watered wine from a clay flask. Around you, others like you chatter and laugh, their voices a steady hum, their lives shaped by the rhythms of work and survival. The Colosseum is your reward, a gift from the emperor, but also a reminder of your place. Your tessera, the wooden token that granted you entry, directs you to these upper rows, far from the marble seats below. Now, shift your gaze to the lower tiers, where the elite, the senators, equestrians, and their families, recline in shaded comfort. Their world is one of privilege. Their togas edged with purple, their fingers adorned with gold rings that catch the sunlight. Imagine a senator, his seat cushioned, a slave fanning him with a palm frond. His morning was not spent laboring but in the cool halls of his domus, a sprawling home with mosaic floors and bubbling fountains. His breakfast was lavish, fresh figs, honeyed cakes, perhaps a delicate fish sauce from the coast. He arrived at the Colosseum in a litter, carried by slaves through Rome's chaotic streets, his status shielding him from the dust and clamor you navigated on foot. His seat, close to the arena, offers a clear view of every thrust and parry, every beast that roars onto the sand. Yet, his presence here is not just for pleasure, it is a performance, a chance to be seen by Rome's power brokers, to cement alliances with a nod or a whispered word. The Colosseum's design enforces this divide. The lower tiers, reserved for the elite, are adorned with marble and shaded by the vela, those vast awnings that flutter above. The upper tiers, where you sit, are open to the sun, the stone hot beneath you. The emperor himself, seated in the imperial box, is the focal point, his presence a reminder of the power that binds all of Rome. Yet, even here, the lines blur. The crowd, elite and commoner alike, roars as one when a gladiator lands a skillful blow or an elephant trumpets in the arena. The games are a great equalizer, a moment where the baker and the senator share the same thrill, their voices mingling in the Colosseum's vast echo. But the lives behind these seats could not be more different. For you, the commoner, life is a constant negotiation with scarcity. Your home is a cramped insula, its walls thin, the air heavy with the smell of cooking fires and unwashed bodies. You rise before dawn, work until dusk, and count your bronze coins carefully, knowing a bad harvest or a sudden tax could tip you into ruin. The games are a brief reprieve, but they come with a cost. You've heard tales of those who lingered too long at the arena, neglecting their shops or stalls, only to find their livelihoods crumbling. The emperor's generosity, free entry, occasional handouts of bread or oil, is a lifeline, but also a chain, tying you to a system that demands your loyalty. For the elite, the Colosseum is a stage for power. A senator might sponsor a day's games, his name announced to the crowd, his wealth measured in the exotic beasts or skilled gladiators he provides. Imagine him calculating the cost, not just in gold but in influence, knowing a well-received spectacle could secure him favor with the emperor or the mob. His life is one of luxury, but also peril. The Senate is a nest of ambition, where a misstep could lead to exile or worse. The Colosseum, for him, is both a playground and a battlefield, where alliances are forged and rivalries stoked. His slaves, invisible to the crowd, wait in the wings, ready to serve wine or carry messages, their lives a silent contrast to his own. The games themselves reflect this divide, yet also bridge it. The gladiators, often slaves or condemned men, fight for survival, their blood soaking the sand to entertain both you and the senator below. Their lives are brutal, their training relentless, their deaths a spectacle. Yet, a skilled gladiator could win freedom, even fame, his name chanted by the crowd. Picture a victorious fighter, his helmet raised, the roar of thousands washing over him, a fleeting moment where a slave might outshine a senator. The animals, too, embody this tension. A lion from Africa, its mane matted with dust, might be a marvel to you, a symbol of Rome's reach, but to the elite, it's a status symbol, proof of their wealth and connections. As the afternoon wanes, you notice the crowd's energy shifting. Some plebeians leave early, their work calling them back to the city's grind. The elite linger, their conversations drifting to politics or trade. Yet, for this moment, you are all here, bound by the Colosseum's spell. The arena does not erase the divide between you, it sharpens it, with every tier of seats, every difference in dress or meal. But it also unites you, if only for a day, in the shared pulse of Rome's greatest spectacle. The cheers, the gasps, the quiet moments between events, these belong to you all, a fleeting harmony in a city of contrasts. As the final event of the day draws to a close, the Colosseum begins to empty, its stone benches cooling in the evening air. Imagine yourself rising, your legs stiff from hours of sitting, your mind heavy with the sights and sounds of the games. The crowd spills onto Rome's streets, their voices fading into the dusk, the city settling into a quieter rhythm. You carry with you the memory of the arena, the roar of the crowd, the clash of steel, the vast arches framing a world both cruel and wondrous. The Colosseum was more than a place, it was a microcosm of Rome itself, where the lives of the humble and the mighty intersected, where spectacle masked the struggles beneath. Now, as you listen from the comfort of your own time, let the weight of that ancient world slip away. Picture yourself leaving the Colosseum behind, its silhouette fading into the twilight. The hardships of Rome, the labor, the divides, the fleeting lives, are distant now, replaced by the softness of your surroundings. The games are over, the crowd's gone, the arena silent. Let your mind rest, carried by the gentle rhythm of history, and drift toward sleep, knowing you've walked, for a moment, in the footsteps of those who filled the Colosseum's heart.